All right, well, g'day everyone. Today we're here with Omar Todd. Omar has a previous background with Sea Shepherds and a range of other things, quite an impressive person that I met in Noosa. And today basically we're jumping on a call just to discuss a little bit about his experience with cryptocurrency mining, how he met myself and how he's expanded his mining operation with Mining Store. So I'll hand it over to yourself there, Omar.
Yeah, well, listen, I had worked for Sea Shepherd for over a decade in conservation as their chief technical officer and chief information officer. And due to the pandemic, it changed all our lives. I was stuck in Australia and decided to resign from Sea Shepherd and look for something else. And I'd always been intrigued by the crypto area. So I decided to look into it, and I figured, well, what's better? Do you spot buy? And then I sort of discovered a little bit more about mining, and I was intrigued how technology and passive income and hardware can actually possibly make you money. I also was a supporter of Bitcoin and the fundamentals. So what I did is I started watching some YouTube videos, and I realized pretty quickly that in the mining space and in crypto in general, there's a lot of fraud and problems going on. And so I thought, well, the most important thing is to find an Australian company and people I could meet and look eye to eye and get comfortable with. And through various research and channels, I discovered some good reviews about Mining Store. And then I reached out, and Will answered, you answered.
Yep.
And we just happened to be in the same town very shortly. You were coming up to Noosa.
That's right.
And I was there. And so I think I picked you up in my newly purchased Tesla, and we had a coffee.
Yep.
And we got on. I was fascinated by the technology, and I got comfortable. And then that's when I began the mining journey. I think I bought my first couple of miners after that.
Yep.
And
I remember the state you were kind of in. You were very fascinated by the cryptocurrency industry, eager to find something new. I don't think you knew exactly what it was going to be. And then after the coffee, and we kind of talked about what my experience with cryptocurrency mining had been. I think it kind of clicked with yourself, and then maybe a couple of months later, you had bought a few miners, then a few more, and then a few more after that. And then all of a sudden you're down the rabbit hole that everyone kind of finds themselves in with the cryptocurrency industry. So hopefully you've had a good experience with us so far. I know you've had a few of your friends and close people in the industry that have come through us and spoken highly. It's been really great. We will move on to the next question. So what was the kind of final thing that made you decide to actually go ahead with mining, Omar?
Well, I looked at two ways of doing it. I looked at either buying Bitcoin outright, but I realized pretty quickly that there's capital gains problems with that. Also, it felt a little bit less, it just felt more like being a trader rather than actually investing in the technology and being part of the network and part of the infrastructure. So I realized pretty quickly, because I had an Australian business, that I wanted to use the miners as a tax deduction and the hosting fees. So for me, it made more economical and financial sense to run it as a business. And also it goes with the philosophy of me wanting to be part of the actual infrastructure of Bitcoin and the transactional infrastructure as well, supporting it that way.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we actually have an ebook that we've published on, why it's beneficial to miners as a business, and how you can get into it as well. So we can put that out to your audience that's looking to get a bit more educated on that. And as you said, it's really good to actually support the network as well. There's always that extra benefit there. So the next question that I was going to look to ask you is, what's your journey been like so far with mining? I mean, I'm sure there's possibly been some ups, there's possibly been some downs, but talk us through that and what your experience has been like.
So the most important experience I've had, which I thankfully took my own advice to begin with, is I knew very early on that the crypto market in general, and even Bitcoin mining, was fairly new and therefore fairly unstable in terms of prices can fluctuate rapidly. So I learned pretty quickly that the biggest trick is trust but verify your suppliers. Go to that extra mile to meet people, establish a relationship. But I also diversified a little bit. So I bought from other suppliers outside of Mining Store just to get a baseline. And I learned very quickly that Mining Store was well ahead of the game in terms of reliability, communication. I always felt I could pick up the phone or email or even text, yourself and Cal and the guys, and I would get a response. And I felt that, even though we had ups and downs with certain delivery dates, that was everywhere in all the industry, and facilities would have problems. And your biggest risk is your third party counter risk for all of us, what happens in other countries, the geopolitical thing about Bitcoin and crypto mining, the energy usage. And I felt that you guys have managed it better than most others. And I know that because I'm actually a customer of other organizations around the world. And as much as I've diversified, I kept coming back to Mining Store because it's just one place that I can rely on more than the others. It's a very tricky industry. But it really comes down to finding the most reliable and easy to communicate with. And you guys, frankly, are that bunch.
Oh, I appreciate the kind words. I mean, as you said, it is a difficult industry, and it's definitely taken years to kind of perfect our service and get our hosting to the standards that we want it to be. But overall, that's what we kind of strive on. We really believe in educating people before they get started. That's a big thing for us. Some clients come to us and they've already got heaps of miners and they don't need the education that they're providing as a beginner. But other clients come and they don't even know, how much Bitcoin they could mine in a day or what a hash rate is or anything. So, making sure that people understand, the ins and outs of mining is really important to us. And then, of course, another thing you tapped on there is providing that kind of personal level of experience. Every client that comes through Mining Store has a personal account manager that they can ask any questions to, if they need any help with anything. And also we're releasing our new software, which will allow clients to actually monitor their miners through our own dashboard. So heaps of things there. Obviously, in your initial consultation, if you do come on board with us, everything's nice and well explained. But yeah, again, thanks really for those kind words there, Omar.
Well, it's the truth. As I said, it's a tricky industry, and I can at least speak to you guys. It's an Australian company. There's the trust level there. I've met yourselves, and unlike a lot of other companies in the world, I know what to expect. I mean, the real test always is when things go wrong, and we've had delivery delays and a couple of machines being repaired, and you guys have repaired it and sorted the problem out as quick as anyone can be expected. And even made sure at times that I wasn't priced or charged for that. So that's a service well above and beyond. So, and that way I then tell other people that, hey, look, there's a lot of people you can buy machines out there, and there's a lot of people that are terrible in it. These guys have been doing it for years. I've been with them for over a year now. I have a lot of miners with them, and they're rock solid. And that's just the way it should be.
That's great. The next question that I'd probably ask you is, there's obviously fluctuations with the price of Bitcoin. How have you managed, talk me through from a beginner when you first experienced your first dump in price and you saw your daily returns maybe fluctuate, to now how you see your long-term view of this investment?
It's a really good question, Matt. Initially, I was hoping it would be more along the lines of an income replacement for when I resigned from my previous work life. I thought, well, I could live off Bitcoin. And I think a lot of people start doing that or have the idea to do that to begin with. But as the crypto winter set in, and it has set in, I realized that I've also got to supplement my income. But it didn't deter me. You still earn the same amount of Satoshis. You still bring them in. And I become much more of a long-term hodler or holding of my Bitcoin reserves than I was before. And I've gone back to other things. I also started finding myself selling miners to supplement income as well. So I think I've gone from a short-term expectation to a long-term investor, because I do believe when the market turns around, then the amount of miners I have and everything else I've done will be better place my position and in the long term, and also helps you understand how the market works a lot more. I mean, just like in the financial markets, there's ups and downs, and there's bear markets and bull markets, and and you've got to plan for both. And that's what I'm learning more than anything else, is you've got to plan for both.
100%.
And that's right. And scalability is important, and volume is important. The more you get, the less you worry about, oddly enough, the day-to-day fluctuations.
It's funny like that, isn't it? I mean, like the initial kind of way that people view mining is they come into it and they go, oh, how much am I making per day in Australian dollar terms? And unfortunately, it's just such a bad way to calculate mining returns. I mean, I've put a bit of a segment here. I'm going to share my screen and just show your viewers, why it's not the best way to calculate it. So when you're calculating mining returns, it's really important that you actually set the price that you're looking to sell that Bitcoin at. You may mine, up to 0.16 to 0.32 Bitcoin on any individual piece of hardware per year, but are you really going to be selling that on the day that you mine it? And the answer is no. What you really need to be doing is looking at, okay, Bitcoin has hit $60,000 before. Maybe you believe it's going to go to 200, maybe you go to 300. Maybe you only believe it's only ever going to get back to 50. It doesn't really matter as long as you set a price that you're actually going to be selling that Bitcoin at. Personally, I've been through many bull markets, many bear markets, many Bitcoin cycles, and my kind of projections at the moment for the current hardware that I have over the next 2 to kind of 4 years is to be selling that Bitcoin at between 60 to 100,000. So if you go onto a Bitcoin mining calculator, you can actually set in that calculator what price, and it's on the screenshot right now, you want to be selling your Bitcoin at, and that drastically changes the way that you look at this investment. The S19J Pro is probably one of the better miners that we have on the market at the moment, just because of the cost per terahash you're getting. You're getting 100 terahashes. It's only costing you around 5,750 Australian dollars. And if you put into this calculator that you're going to sell all the Bitcoin that you mine only when Bitcoin reaches $60,000, you can see that annually what you would really be earning would be closer to 7,500 US dollars, and that's after paying your power bills. So you're paying 5,750 Aussie for this miner. You accumulate the Bitcoin at 0.16 Bitcoin over the year, and then you wait. It may be 1 year, it may be 2 years. You wait for the right time to actually sell off that Bitcoin, sell your Bitcoin at around the 60,000 mark, and you're getting a return investment much higher than just selling on a daily basis. So of course, what that does mean, as all investors know, you can't just say that Bitcoin's going to get to 200, 300,000. You do need to be patient. There is risk involved with this industry. It may not get to that price again, but if you're getting into mining, that's the long-term vision that you really need to take. You can't be doing your calculations based off selling on a daily basis. All right, so...
Well, I think you've nailed it pretty well, particularly in that area. I mean, you've got to remember that the beauty of mining is that you also got the hardware in the end. And even if you sell the hardware for a discount down the road because it's secondhand hardware, there's still a premium on hardware that's actually mining already. And even if you get 50% of your return back within 3 years, that's still a larger return than most people would expect to get. I mean, what other industry can you get even a 2-year return of investment? If you buy property and everything like that, you don't get 2-year return investments. So it's quite unique that way.
Yeah.
And I think it's still ready for mass adoption. It'll have to go somewhere eventually, because there's nowhere else to put your money in. There isn't, right? Like, you look at, we've discussed this a lot amongst ourselves with a number of associates and friends lately, like properties in a bubble that's going to pop. So no one wants to get in at the moment. Still sticking your money in bank accounts is less than you get from inflation at the moment. I mean, sure, Bitcoin's a risk-on asset and the markets treat it as such, but really, once people start realizing it's one of the very few things that can be an inflation hedge, and it may take 1 or 2 more years, then it'll go to the moon, as they say, because there isn't anything else to put your money in.
I mean, yeah, it's a good point. There's heaps of, if you're on Google, just go and search on Google Bitcoin's price compared to stocks over 4 to 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's outperformed every single asset. And it's for a reason. There's only going to be 21 million of these Bitcoin out there. Yes, it can be volatile. I mean, from the highest point of 60,000 down to the lowest of 17,000, you've seen a 60-70% reduction in price over a short period of time. But if you look at it over the long period of time, compare Bitcoin's price from now to 4 years ago over any period of time, and you're looking at much, much higher gains than anything else that you're going to be seeing out there. That may change. I mean, obviously the volatility will slow down as it becomes more, globally adopted. Hence why we really, really nail into our audience that it's a long-term investment. It's a 4-year investment, and you're holding that Bitcoin and selling off at the right periods of time.
Correct. And, that's right. And people often say as well, they just say it's volatile, but I say in terms of what, its volatility is what the world's based on. I mean, look, the war in Europe at the moment, a lot of people living there, the volatility of electricity prices, the market, property prices. You talk to Argentinians about inflation at 80% per annum, or Turkey, or all these other places. I mean, how is that not volatile? And that's based on the current system, right? I mean, at least that with Bitcoin and some other cryptocurrencies, but certainly Bitcoin, which is the one I prefer to stick with, is it's totally based on worldwide sentiment. There's no one manipulating it. It's either a risk-on or risk-off asset for a lot of people. But I know there's only 21 million. There's 21 million. And it's a decentralized network with a lot of us contributing. I'm part of that very network. So as much as volatility, we talk about that all the time with crypto, I don't see how the rest of the world isn't in its own way. So, you just got to pick your poison. And I pick crypto, and particularly Bitcoin, because I think it's one of the very few beautiful mathematical currency-based equations that can actually, in the long term, yield the most results and returns.
It's a very good point. It's very well summarized, and it's exactly what we've been kind of preaching to our audience for a long time now. Before I guess we conclude, obviously there's a place that you want to direct your audience. You're a very busy man, Omar. You've got a lot on your plate, and I suppose that's why, as you reiterated earlier in this interview, that you've chosen Mining Store. You need a safe place to send your audience who you believe should be getting into cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency mining. So I'll just quickly summarize how it is that your audience can get in touch with us. There's a link that's going to be attached to this video, or you may already be on a page watching this video and you're on the link that it's going to direct you to. You can book a call with one of our account managers. They already know that you're going to be coming from Omar, and alternatively, there's also a link that will take you into getting a quote. And one of our account managers, or myself or Cal, the other co-founder of Mining Store, will be reaching out to your clients there, Omar. So anything that you want to conclude on that, anything you want to give your audience a heads up before getting involved, or most of it covered in the interview?
I think we covered most of the interview. I'm giving recommendation based on my experience, particularly with Mining Store. And I think that's the best kind of recommendation you can get, considering all the trouble I've had with other suppliers around the world and hosting providers. And, I think Mining Store has been my pick. And so I'm relying on you guys to keep that level of standards and services high, because I'm happy and pleased to be able to refer people to what I consider one of the best suppliers of miners in the market. And if people want to follow me, you just have to Google my name, Omar Todd. I'm verified in most social media networks, and reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to anybody anytime about my experiences with Mining Store. And if you want to sign up or meet with me, you can go to cryptobyomar.com, and I will happily chat to you that way as well. So that's pretty much it. Thanks so much, Will. It's been wonderful to chat.
No, awesome. It's been wonderful getting to know you over the years and servicing in your mining expansion. And now it's great to take care of some of your close network as well. So thanks so much for your time, Omar, and we'll leave it there. Cheers.
All right. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.